Thank you so much for joining us for our series of virtual in-conversation events. We are incredibly grateful to all of the creatives and artists who shared their time, their wisdom and their experience with us. It's easy to ask in the face of a global pandemic, why do the arts matter? But the truth is that theatre is as old as civilization itself. It's a place where we learn, we explore, and we share our common humanity. It's a pressure valve for society, a safe space in which to explore dangerous ideas. And above all, it's entertaining. At Dark Unicorn Productions, we rely very heavily on the support of our wonderful patrons to continue our work. You can join them and become a patron of the arts yourself by joining our scheme, which starts at just £50 per year to become a rainbow unicorn. Be part of the Dark Unicorn family. Be part of the recovery and the future of theatre. Don't let the lights go out. Become a patron today. Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to Dark Unicorn in Conversation. For those of us who enjoyed the rich crop of 1990s UK sitcoms, my guest today is perhaps best known as Linda, the perky, increasingly manic gym instructor and lifeguard in the Brittas Empire, which she was a core part of all through its 6-year run on the BBC. With a career mixing major TV and film roles, a lot of stage, including 18 pantomime seasons, short films, teaching and non-arts work as a shiatsu practitioner for both people and horses, hers has been a full life and career to date. Her name is Jill Greenacre, and when she spoke to me from her home in Cornwall, we started by discussing the creative influences in her early life. Jill, was creativity a big part of your life and surroundings when you were growing up?
Yes, because my parents were both in the amateur theatre group in Brundall, the village where I grew up in. So we were always involved in productions from the word go. And also my family were quite staunch Methodists at that time. So we did a lot of, sort of drama within the church as well. So yes, definitely. A lot of creativity, yeah.
So I grew up in a household like that too. My father was at one point the Methodist president, so it was in Ireland, but it was, so I know all about that sort of side of things.
Yeah.
And at what point did you realise that you were a performer? I always think there's sort of something you realise rather than something you choose.
Yes, it was doing a production of Toad of Toad Hall in the village. I was probably about 13 perhaps, I'm not exactly sure how old I was, and I was playing Ratty, which is a lovely, lovely role, and I was really enjoying it, really enjoying it. And I think somebody said to me then, you could do this, as a profession when you're older, and I just thought I could. So it was planted then during Toad of Toad Hall as Ratty, yeah.
And then you carried on throughout your
there was a wonderful teacher at school as well, at my school, Thorpe Grammar School, who, Mr. White, in case he ever listens, he really believed in me and he really encouraged me, and that made a huge difference to me as well. Yeah, so yeah, I kind of knew it.
And then, like myself and my business partner Eleanor, you studied theatre at the University of Wales in Aberystwyth, but then after that you went on to DSL, Drama Studio London, to pursue a more sort of concentratedly conservatoire style education. How important do you think that sort of training is for anyone wanting to move into professional performance?
I think it's good to have some professional training. I mean, that was really good training because it was a year long. It was for postgrads like me mostly, and it was very intensive, and we spent a lot of time putting on productions, even if they weren't the whole thing. We were always training to put on something, and it was very disciplined, and we weren't allowed to be late. If you were late to a class, you weren't allowed in, and that was very good because, as you know, as an actor, you can't be late. And we were trained in all the different disciplines like any drama school, but very intensively because it was only a year. So it suited me immensely. I mean, I would have loved, in retrospect, to have like gone for RADA or something and done the whole 3 years when I was a bit younger, but that wasn't the choice that I made at the time, just due to most people saying, you've got to go to university, like people often do. So I didn't consider going to drama school for the full 3 years, but in retrospect, I would have done.
And then how did you get your equity card then at the far end of that? What did you move into next after that?
I was incredibly lucky because I got an agent at the end of drama school. We were doing a lovely production of Female Transport, and I was playing Pitty, who's a simple character. It was a gorgeous part, and agents came to see those. They were at the New End Hampstead, if I remember, and I was phoned up. It was like a dream come true. The agent phoned me up and said, would I like to come in and meet him, and took me on. So I was very, very, very lucky, and he introduced me to, what was his name? Parrot Face, I think was his nickname, who did pantomimes. It was Parrot Face Davies or something. He was a sort of celebrity entertainment on the entertainment scene at that time, quite well known, and he cast pantomimes. So I went to his office, sang a song and maybe read something, and he found a pantomime for me in Hastings, being Princess in Jack and the Beanstalk at the White Rock Pavilion, and I got my card like that. So very lucky, basically. Very lucky.
Of course, you were in millions of living rooms for several years in the 90s as part of the core cast of the Brittas Empire. How important a step was that for you? And how was the experience of being part of such a comparatively small team for quite a long time?
Oh, it was wonderful. It's my highlight of my life, really, professionally, because being in a small team is fantastic because you're a family. And it's not just the cast, the crew were also part of that family, and the director, and the crew never really changed throughout all those years. So we became very, very, very close, and I loved it. I loved it. And also the characters developed over the years, and the writers, we started with the two writers, and other writers came in, and they started to write for us and for our characters. So my character was quite small at the beginning, and then she expanded and became more and more wacky and more out there as it went on, and they were gleaning things that from me, which they did to all of us, which was really interesting being part of that process. And yeah, lovely.
Did you have a particularly favourite storyline?
I think the dolphin one, when I'm protecting the dolphin, which turns out to be a shark, and doing my animal rights, and putting the character of Tim in a chicken cage and all that. That was a lovely one.
Do you think that a sitcom like Brittas Empire would still have traction today if it were to be revived? Do you think that the appetites have changed at all?
I think it would, and there's been a big movement called Bring Back Brittas on Twitter and Facebook, and there's lots of fans, bless them, trying to help bring it back. And I know things have been written, but not they were commissioned to be written, but nothing has happened as far as we know. And I suppose it's 30 years on nearly now, so I think it's still possible, but we'd all be obviously older. But there are ever so many ideas that you could do with us all coming back and being older, as long as it's centered around Mr. Brittas. It's really a writer's dream, I'd have thought.
I know that there was a big sort of 20th anniversary reunion 2017, or 20th anniversary of the end.
Yeah.
Is there an appetite amongst the team to bring something back?
Yes, I think just about everybody would love it to come back. It would be brilliant for all our careers. Chris would love it himself. I mean, it'd be fantastic for him. And it would just be such fun. It'd be just enormous fun.
I think what's been interesting has been watching the various different directions that various people have taken who were part of that family. And obviously you see Pippa in a whole variety of different things, and Harriet does a lot of stage and that sort of thing. And I think what was they've all taken something. There's some sort of kernel of what what made the way that they produce their characters come to life, you still see in terms of their process and that sort of thing. And I think what has been what was the most important thing for you to take away from those 6 years?
I suppose that's a good question. I mean, I'm very energetic, and they milked the fact that I'm athletic and gymnastic and have huge enthusiasm. So I think at drama school I'd been encouraged to play down myself, and but I remember one particular tutor saying earlier on in drama school, "Oh, don't use your eyes so much." And then another tutor later on said, "Your eyes will be your forte." And then, of course, in Brittas, there is a lot of eye acting, really. It's a kind of, Linda was, so I suppose I learned to trust who I am and in using my own qualities in a character. And there is a time for that, and there's a time not for that. But in that kind of style, that's why I was cast, basically.
Do you think that what sort of impact do you think such a close association with such an iconic series has on a performer then coming out the far side of it? Because I think it's what I've noticed is with something like that, which was such a major part of me. And I remember, in the 90s, you didn't miss it. It was one of those things that you watched religiously every week because it was such fun. And I mean, everyone's had very different, not talking about in terms of profile or style of thing, but everyone involved with that has gone on and done such a incredibly wide variety of very different things. And there's always did you find yourself worrying at any point that being associated with something like that could negatively impact, or was it always going to be a springboard for you to do the things that you wanted to do? I
think it took a while for me to be considered grown up after that, because you can obviously get typecast as a certain character. And I think it took, I'm now a lot older and would be cast in completely different roles. So I think there's a residue of playing a popular character like that for a long time when people maybe don't take you as seriously as they would have done had I been in a Shakespeare festival or something, for a long time. Yes.
But keeping with the comedic, you mentioned your first professional role was pantomime. You've done a lot of pantomime. We've had a couple of other guests in this series. At the point of recording this, I'm not quite sure which order they're going to come out in. I think you're going to be quite upfront because you've got something coming up soon that we'd like to tell people about. But we've spoken to Kit Hesketh-Harvey, who does panto every year in Guildford. Another chap, wonderful young actor, Danny Rogers, son of Ted Rogers, who did 3-2-1 and all that sort of thing, who does a lot of panto. What is it about panto? I've been asking everybody about this. What is it about panto that you love? What brings you back to it?
Well, it's a completely different style of theatre yet again. It is a style of its own. And as we know, there are conventions in pantomime, boys playing girls, girls playing boys. I mean, that's much more common now, but that's ancient traditional commedia dell'arte type acting. And it's Christmas. It's always lovely to be working with a family again at Christmas. There's something very, very joyful about doing a pantomime at Christmas, and all that build up to Christmas, and working with the kids. There's always loads of kids from the local community and all their families as well. So it's an enormous thing, pantomime. It's not just the cast, it's the whole thing. And also, I mean, I was lucky to get them because it was on the back of Brittas, a lot of it, because they like to have a name they can put on the poster. And I very rarely say no to work. So if I'm offered a panto, I'll do it, and so I got into that thing when I was very lucky, doing one every year for a long time. And I was still in that bracket when I could play the princes and the princesses and the Dick Whittingtons and everything. Yeah.
Something you'd go back to again if you were invited?
Oh, yes. I did one quite recently, actually. I did one at Horsham. Do I mean Horsham?
The capital.
Yes, yeah. That's what it was. Yes, and I was the fairy in Jack and the Beanstalk,
Wonderful.
working with lovely director friend Nick, who had, I'd worked with him on a Shakespeare at Stafford Castle years ago, and he invited me back to do pantomime, and it was lovely doing pantomime again, but as a fairy this time. Yeah.
On top of all that, you've done, as well as a lot of sort of a lot of television and feature films and various shows, you've done a lot of short films as well, and I'm a big fan of a short film. I love a short subject, particularly within that genre. But what, I suppose, also generally, what will draw you to a subject? If there's, I mean, I know you say you rarely say no to work, but what is it that is likely to pique your interest?
Oh, a poignant story. Definitely a poignant story with meaning, something now that would stretch me as well. I recently did one called Beached Whale, and I played a lovely older woman. It was coming out film, so it was about two older women, and it was beautiful. They're often for students, the short films, and also my motivation is, I'm very happy to help, as it were, to be in the short student films. Also, they can lead to all sorts of things. So I like to think, it's if they like to have professional actors in their films, that you'll just do your very, very, very best for them, so that these films can go to festivals and help them along their careers.
Well, which is a remarkably helpful and lovely attitude, because I know there are a lot of students who find it quite difficult to get professional actors who are prepared to take them seriously. Is it important to you to feel as though you're helping to invest in the incoming generation of performers as well?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I actually am associate lecturer at Falmouth University in the drama department. So once a year, I go and help work with film. A screen acting course, and I've done that for 3 years now, and really, really enjoyed it. And I've got, obviously got very involved in these up and coming beautiful young people. So yeah.
Talking about Falmouth, of course, you relocated some time ago to Cornwall.
20 years ago now. Yes.
Gosh. How important is it for you to be somewhere with that sort of slightly more open and relaxed pace of life, and obviously there's incredible beauty around you as well?
It is now. Yeah, it took me a while to internally make the transition from busy London and being close to everything, but now I love it, and I can see the sea outside my window. I have horses, I have a dog, I have a daughter who's grown up now, and she's now 19, and I have a lifestyle which is absolutely enviable, really, I think. Yeah.
And you've mentioned the horses there. Obviously, in addition to your continued work as an actor, you offer horse riding, you do shiatsu for both people and...
Yes, I've done shiatsu for a long, long time. Yeah.
And you are a yoga instructor as well, Elsa?
Yes, I can take a yoga class. Yeah, I've done yoga for a long, long time, and I can share a yoga class. Yep. How
would you advise someone within the creative industries about keeping an eye on their mental as well as their physical health?
Yes, it's really important. It's really important to have other things outside your career. One, that you can also earn money from, so that you're not totally dependent on acting. And two, to keep you level. I mean, I've done transcendental meditation for 40 odd years, and that's been an absolute lifeline. So things like a meditation practice, a yoga practice, being out in the fresh air, animals, all things just to keep you mentally level and happy. The worst thing is being miserable because you're not working. And it was easier in London to fall into that. Very much easier to fall into that in London. Yeah.
Obviously, 2020 has thrown a spanner in the works of all of us in the arts. But you have a project which is just about to go live, don't you?
Yes. Yes. I mean, I've got some fantastic agents, Ordea Talent Management, who I absolutely adore, and I'm so glad to be with. I joined them just before lockdown, and they have been totally proactive and amazing. And obviously, Jamie, who runs it, got me the interview. So I auditioned on Zoom, and was delighted to get the part. And it's all on Zoom. It's a theatre festival run by a project called The Space, which is a literal space in London, but has now become a virtual space because of COVID. And they've commissioned, I think it's 8 playwriters. The Arts Council have funded it, So there's 8 like 20-minute pieces over 2 evenings. And I'm in one of them, and they're written for Zoom. They're performed on Zoom, and it's a whole new genre. It really is. Yeah.
And what's the name of your piece?
Staring at a Nan Goldin photo. Very cool title, isn't it? It's a great title.
And this is broadcasting when?
This Friday, the 31st of July at 7:00. You have to Google in space, space.org, I think it is, and you book yourself a space to watch it if you want to watch it live. But I think it's available for the whole week afterwards as well. I think you'd Google into the space and you can watch it. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but I think it should be simple.
And that's the space. That's the art centre in the Isle of Dogs. Is it the one that's where it normally?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are 31st of July. If you want to see it live, and for a week afterwards. Jill, I suppose the last of my questions on this would be: what keeps you going?
I'm very. I love life. Actually, I genuinely. I'm not just saying that to be naff. I do genuinely love life. And I love people, and I love animals, and I love nature, and all those things keep me going. So I suppose I'm optimistic, and focused and optimistic, and happy. That's what keeps me going.
We've been asking all our guests I think from the second one on, because one of the people who sadly was taken from us in 2020 was James Lipton over in New York, who founded Inside the Actors Studio, and he used to ask all the people that he interviewed before he would open up to public questions, he would ask them the same 10 questions, which he had stolen from someone else, so we've sort of nicked them from him. So I will ask you these. You can answer them however you wish.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favourite word?
Favourite word? Hope.
And your least favourite word?
Can't.
What turns you on? Don't take that necessarily in a particularly seedy way. But what excites you? What turns you
on? Nature. That's what comes to me.
And what turns you off?
Being claustrophobic.
What sound or noise do you love?
I love the whinny of my horse when he sees me coming. It's a beautiful sound.
And what sound or noise do you hate?
Traffic.
What, if any, is your favourite swear word?
Swear word? I don't swear much. My favourite word. That's really interesting because I don't swear much at all because of my Methodist upbringing. If I want to be, if I'm angry, I'll say fuck because it means a lot. If I say that shows that I'm really angry, actually, because it's not something I say often. Yeah.
Impact over form. I like that. What profession, other than those you have already undertaken, would you like to attempt?
Other than those I've already done. Gosh, that's a good one. Well, I suppose I wouldn't mind being on the other side of the camera and doing editing.
Oh.
Because I'm very I can't do it. I've never done it, but I'm really fascinated by the whole skill of editing and how that makes or breaks a film. Yeah.
And what profession would you not ever want to attempt?
I wouldn't want to be an accountant. That would be the worst thing possible.
Whatever your own beliefs may or may not be, if when the time comes you discover that actually heaven does exist, what would you like to hear said to you on arrival?
Oh, I'd like to hear, well done. You did well. You did good.
We've had 2 or 3 questions sent in to us. Adele in Hampshire asks, is there a role that you have your eye on which you haven't had a chance to play yet?
Oh, there's loads. I would love to do some really, really excellent Shakespeare roles, really. The older women in Shakespeare. I mean, there's so many, like, the Queen in Hamlet, or Paulina in The Winter's Tale, or, you know, of the older women in Shakespeare now, because I'm of that age. I would love to have a go at those. Yeah.
The Paulina is just such a wonderful character. I'm always so
Oh,
envious of anybody that gets to play it. Lucas and Kent asks, what is the most fulfilling thing you've done in your life and or career?
most fulfilling in my life and career. Gosh, that's a good question, isn't it?
There can be more than one answer.
Oh, goodness me. I suppose in my career, it would have to be, you know, being in Brittas just as a whole thing, because it is something to be in a major high profile drama. So that is deeply fulfilling. In my life, there are so many. Thing that springs to mind that often comes to mind is I went to Australia when I was younger and went to Monkey Mia where the dolphins come in, and I had a beautiful encounter with a dolphin, which moved me forever. Just this dolphin that came in to talk to me. So that is always with me. That talk with, you know, the silent talk with the dolphin. Yeah.
And finally, Natalie in South London asks, who has had the greatest influence on you?
In my life,
Yeah.
not career, in my life, my dad. My dad, who sadly died a long time ago when he was only 58, but he was my, and still is, my role model. You know, I will, if I don't know what to do, I'll think, well, what would Dad have done? What would Dad have said? So he's number one. Yeah.
Was there somebody in your career who had a particular influence on you?
There's lots, but Dame Julie Dench is one in particular. I met her a couple of times and I deeply admire her. And she's so level-headed and fun and humble. Yes, and obviously brilliant, goes without saying. But yes, she's extraordinary.
Jill Greenacre, thank you so much for taking time to be with us today. It's a pleasure.